Well, today is a kind of a new day for myself. Not really a big new day, but a new day. About 3 years ago, I was hitting this really rough patch, as a lot of former oil field people in the Texas area were. The barrel price dropped below $25 a barrel for a period of time, even dipping below $19 a barrel. And many of us found ourselves out of a job. And so, with us being out of a job, I had to find an endeavor to keep lights on. It wasn't here, it was the apartment across the hall. And endeavored to, as I endeavored to get my life in order, I didn't have a lot of choices. Every other oil field worker I knew was scrambling for the same jobs that I was going for. And so I just said, fuck it. Fuck it. I'm just going to go. And I went and I worked for myself in the gig economy of Uber and Lyft, and eventually went up to Austin and drove for Ride Austin. Those three companies taught me a lot about how to be self-sufficient. They had a lot of painful lessons in the process, but I learned how to maintain and even how to enjoy myself as much as I could on a less than half what I was making before. I was able to live. And with those lessons came responsibility. I had a car from 2013. It was a two-door Civic SI, one of my favorite cars ever to drive, when it was brand new at least. Not that I was horribly rough with it, but if you've ever been with me in a vehicle, you know that I drive kind of like one of those Indian, the Middle Eastern dot-headed Indians. I drive more like one of those in Formula One than I do somebody over here. And I've worked on it since then. I wanted to have a good rating and continue going, but I had to get out of that mindset. So that two-door, I had to lease a four-door, and I leased a four-door car from a company called Fair. Fair was interesting because they had an exorbitant price you had to pay, and you had to keep your gas in your vehicle, and it was just a tough sell. I mean, for 12 months, I pushed myself at various hours of little sleep, and still haven't really gotten back into the hours of sleep that I like. But as I look here among the paint booth, I have a lot of lessons from 2016 to 17 that I still will forward and abide by. Sorry. Interesting. There we go. Okay. So we had a real issue. Bruce had a real issue. And I say we because when I panic, I try to go at it from every angle possible. If I was this, how would I take care of this? If I had this capacity, how do I get from here to the victory location? And I try to work back from victory instead of being where I'm at and not being able to see forest from the trees. So with that, for 12 months, I had a gig where I put 80,000 miles plus on a car. I made it. Even some weeks I thrived. But all things come to an end. For those of you that think that you have a job that will never go away, keep in mind, unless your name is on the building and you're paying the bills for it all yourself, it's probably not permanent. Got back in the oil field. The money's too good. 2.5 times what I was making in that, even a modest increase of what I was doing before, sure. And I had a lot of weight on me, and I peeled off some because I was at 280, 270. Been doing my best to drop that, but that's a slow process. You get above 40, life doesn't give you the tip of the dick. Life gives you the whole shaft. So I had this uncomfortable position of being back in the oil field, knowing what I know, and trying to amble about and losing all the weight that I had. So I was able to do that, but I kept this car for 3 years. I had this lease. And I always thought, oh, when I get a chance to take a breath, I'll start saving money. And I never did. I just bought more stuff. And I was an idiot, still an idiot. At least I've started saving now. That's the one thing I learned, save. My rainy day for that, by the way, happened to be about 2 weeks ago when I thought I had money and I went on an unscheduled vacation to take care of a death in the family. And I'm not blaming that. That was going to happen. It's just that it was there for a reason, and I used it. So here I am now. Tomorrow I go back to work in about 6 hours. And I'm looking forward to it because that means money again. But what I've done is gird myself with a potential secondary income, as much as others say, oh, you're going to be a streamer now. Oh, maybe. I've already been a streamer. I've done it for 10 years. 100 subscribers on YouTube. I think at this level, I could buy nothing. And I'm not worried about it. Actually, I just want to have the equipment. So whenever I do have time for my hobby, which no matter what you're doing, take time out to enjoy what you love. Otherwise, you're spinning your wheels uselessly. You have to. You have to take time out. You have to take time for yourself and repair yourself, because otherwise you will get too much wear and you will not value the things you once did. So I'm just saying that the camera, got a new microphone. Hopefully I don't sound nearly as bad as I did last night. But we're going back in the field. Actually, we're going back to the yard. They just came out of the field. Do a few days maintenance and then back at it. And I like that idea. That's okay with me. The lesson for me was, 1, learn to save. 2, expect the worst. It's going to happen. You might not have the worst happen to you tomorrow or next week or next month. At some point, if you have nothing in your life, if you've prepared zero, if you've learned nothing about what tomorrow may bring, one of these days, it's just going to be that day. Get it? So anytime you have a chance to prepare and to gird yourself, do so. Today's new event was I went and purchased a new car, financed. So I got out from underneath that lease, which was costing me just around $1,000 a month with insurance and payments. It was over $1,100 actually. Not having a loan out there for 3 years has driven my credit down in the tank, and that's to be expected. Deal with it, Bruce. Okay, I'll deal with it. So, all of that being said, now I get the chance to redeem myself. This isn't bad. This is actually what I want. So, the car I got is really close to the previous model I was driving, which was close to the previous model I was driving, which was close to the previous model I was driving. I've had 4 Hondas. My first Honda was an Accord. It was all right. It didn't have a lot of pickup. Didn't feel like it had punch. So with that said, I got a little Honda Civic Si. And that little 2-door was a punchy little bitch, but it was a 2-door. So when it came time for me to Uber and Lyft, I needed something with 4 doors. So I got a Civic LX, which was a great vehicle. Still had a VTEC engine, had a sporty feel to it. Shocks were kind of squishy. The new Sport is really nice, and I would say that there's a lot of safety features that if you're a asshole, you want to turn off, because you don't want to hear the thing beep or buzz at you because your tire's going over that white line or that yellow line in the center of the road. Because where I live, we have road construction that is never ending. And I really enjoy my phone calls and my music more than I enjoy the computer telling me something I already know. If I'm in the driver's seat, I already know what's going on. So that's why I think that way. Now, we're getting back to some other things I've discussed, but now the big push, now that I've earned a bit of savings in my life, I'm going to go back and probably this fall head over for well control school. And I hope I can do it. I hope I have the time for it and I can spend my time endeavoring in that because that's what I want. That will allow me to breathe easier. A little bit different than fracking. You have a lot more responsibility. Do I know everything about the frac sites? Not in the least bit. Am I willing to put my neck out there and be responsible for people and listen to experts? Am I willing to try to put my best forth effort to learn how to read these geographical sites and see how the well formation might lay? Absolutely. A lot of people are like, well, if you've never been a supervisor, you don't really deserve to do that. Well, the thing is that where I work and live is an area where if you're bilingual, you're probably going to ascend much faster. Nothing against that. I'm a monolinguist. I'm from Central Illinois, and I like that. I know a little bit of Spanish. I know a little bit more of Latin, but I think this is the way I need to go because for my current company, I've not topped out, but I'm nearing it. They want me to be able to be bilingual. 44. I'm 44 years of age. Holy cow. Last thing I want to do is have to go back to school for foreign language or spend hours on end with Rosetta Stone, which Rosetta Stone is not bad. And there's other systems out there that are almost as effective or just better. But from what I've learned with Latin, and it's been a uphill, downhill. I've gone into it like 4 times. And I've completed one of the 3 lessons on Latin. Latin is different. My background in termiticides and pesticides and various entomology studies for Terminix really helped me out, and that was in my 20s. So what I was able to learn with that is a blessing. With that being said, I'm going to shut this off, and I hope tonight's test went well. But I thought I'd share the good news. I'm not going to post a photo of my car. I'm sorry. It's way down there outside, and no, I'm not the type of person that edits after a stream is over. Stream is a stream. I don't go and edit stuff. If you want that, go find a bigger channel, somebody who is willing to do 5 or 10 minutes or 2 hours worth of work to get everything queued up just right. That's not me. And there's nothing wrong with that. I wish those people the best. I look at a YouTube stream and I'm like, I'm just going to run it. Press record and play. Have a great one. Anyway, thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you have yourselves a great Tuesday night.